Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dead Mall Walking. Today I'm opening things up with a question. When is a mall not just a mall? How about when it's a $2 billion project, yes, you heard me correctly, $2 billion, partially funded by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Well, I guess when you can't drink coffee or alcohol, you have to have a decent mall. And this is definitely a decent mall. So, in the words of the LDS Church's senior prophet, yes, that's who that was in the clip at the beginning of this video, let's go shopping. Today, we're checking out the glimmering City Creek Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it is quite something. By the way, if the camera angle of this video looks a little off in places, that's because there was security everywhere here, and I was trying to remain incognito, which meant some creative camera work in some places. I should have just worn a fluorescent jacket like this guy. Truly, the key to getting away with anything. Before heading inside, I thought I'd kick the video off with a stroll around this manicured external courtyard area. It gives a flavour of what to expect inside the mall, because, spoiler alert, this place is bougie. So let's go right back to the beginning. City Creek was opened in 2012, after a lengthy construction process that took almost 5 years. The mall is around 900,000 square feet, with room for in the region of 100 stores and a couple of anchors, one of which is this Macy's. It stretches across 3 city blocks and has a simulated stream running right through the middle of it. But I'll get back to that. The mall incorporates the frontages of the Amerson Jewelry Building and the ZCMI cast iron front. And if you're wondering what the ZCMI cast iron front is, you aren't the only one. Because I didn't find out until I got back home that ZCMI was widely credited as being the first department store in the United States, opened back in 1868. The facade of its flagship store, here in Salt Lake City, was made from, well, no surprises here, cast iron. In 1975, that building was converted into the now defunct ZCMI Center Mall. City Creek Center replaced the ZCMI Center, as well as the nearby Crossroads Plaza, after their purchase by the LDS Church. And it has to be said that both places look a lot more like what you think of when you picture a traditional mall. Like this food court, which looks like it's straight out of the Neon Palm Mall album cover. I can't be the only one who sees the resemblance, right? Funnily enough, City Creek's food court keeps that vibe alive with a piece of art on the wall that looks a lot like Neon Palms. Oh, and if you're looking for a rabbit hole to fall down, I posted a link to an Angel Fire website in this video's description that covers at length an urban legend that a race of lizard people used to live in tunnels below Crossroads, or Crossworlds Plaza. But, as they say, nothing gold can stay, and I'm not talking about Joseph Smith's tablets. These malls were closed, unceremoniously gutted, and demolished in the early aughts to make way for City Creek. Check out this awesome footage from Radio Citrus of them back in their heyday. To be fair, City Creek is also aesthetically pleasing, if in a very different way. I heard a local teen call City Creek, quote, the only thing worth doing in Salt Lake City. While I'm not sure I'd go that far, since I really enjoyed my time in SLC, I definitely get the hype. Its retractable glass roof, which allows the mall to be either outdoors or indoors, depending on the weather, has won awards for crying out loud. It's not an overstatement to call this mall an architectural marvel. Which probably shouldn't be surprising, since the people responsible for it also built this place. Turns out they're as good at building temples of retail as they are actual temples. If you didn't believe me earlier, I'll say it again. This place is seriously fancy. Tenants in here include Arc'teryx, Anthropology, Aloe, Tecovas, and Tiffany & Co. But there isn't a Hot Topic, Spencer's, or Bath & Body Works in sight. Despite clearly being very picky about tenants, this place is having no problems filling vacancies. It opened 92% occupied, and I'd estimate it was probably at around 95% occupancy when I visited, which is almost unheard of for malls in 2025. With the exception of Valley Fair Mall and the Gateway, the former of which is a more traditional mall located a bit out of the city centre, and the latter of which is more of a downtown shopping district, City Creek does sort of feel like the only game in town. This isn't the first downtown mall I've covered on this channel. I filmed a visit to Charleston Town Centre when I was in West Virginia. But City Creek is in another league to Charleston's mall. Where Charleston Town Centre feels like it's perpetually struggling, City Creek appears to be thriving. Or maybe it's just hemorrhaging money. Salt Lake City locals, feel free to weigh in on how this place is really doing in the comments. I'd love to learn some more about it. Its downtown location means the mall employs some space-saving tricks, like a walkable sky bridge that joins two distinct sections. It's got some great views, but can feel a little depressing because it feels like you're literally treading over the homeless people who tend to gather on the street below to go shopping. Capitalism working as intended, I guess. Something that's not depressing, the fake creek filled with recirculated tap water that runs through the centre of the mall, complete with real fish and footprints of animals native to the area. You can even walk around tracking them like a 21st century parody of a hunter-gatherer. I was in the food court around lunchtime, and it was hopping with downtown workers. I'm talking both blue collar and white collar. This place really seems like it's doing a great job of catering to everyone's tastes. Does any of that foot, or perhaps belly, traffic convert to shopping? I'm not so sure. Most stores look pretty quiet, though I guess people might do some window shopping on their way in and make a note of things they want to purchase when they have a little more time. I grabbed something at Cheesecake Factory and it was, as always, delicious. Not sponsored content, but Cheesecake Factory, hit me up. I did notice that there's no Starbucks, Dunkin' or anything like that in here, which is sort of unusual for a mall food court. But if you're not a member of the LDS Church and find yourself jonesing for a hot drink, you can grab an artisan coffee at the Nordstrom E-Bar. The lack of caffeine isn't the only quirk of this place being owned by the church. This place isn't open on Sundays. Pretty much unheard of for a mall to be closed for half the weekend, but there you go. On the plus side, it's open until 8 PM on weekdays and 9 PM on Fridays and Saturdays. Now time for a weird coincidence. When I was putting this script together, I wrote the following. I can't put my finger on why, but something about this section of the mall really reminded me of the World Trade Center Mall in New York City that was destroyed in 9/11. I watch the footage back, and what do I see? A sign for the World Trade Center. Of course, it's referring to an office complex in Salt Lake City, not the New York institution, but still. Weird. Maybe it's the windowless, slightly claustrophobic nature of this corridor that triggered the thought. Maybe it's the fact that said office building leads right into the mall like the WTC in New York used to. Maybe it was a subconscious memory triggered by me making note of that sign at the time. Who knows? One of life's mysteries, I guess. Heading back outside, we pass this beautiful little waterfall, surrounded by more animal footprints. It's one of what feels like an endless number of water features in and around the mall, and it does a really good job of transporting you somewhere else. When you're walking around here, you don't feel like you're in the middle of a city. There's definitely an airy town centre vibe out here, and I can imagine kicking back out here on an evening with some dinner or a cold drink in my hand, sitting next to an outdoor heater as it gets dark. It sort of reminds me of HHLA in Los Angeles, where Mitchell did his dance flash mob in Modern Family. And there's also Stream of Life, this beautiful bronze sculpture of local wildlife. I kind of fell down a rabbit hole on the Rosetta Sculpture website, which has a 70-page document explaining every step of how it was made. I felt bad that nobody was paying any attention to it. But then again, it's not like this city is short on sculptures and statues to look at. There's actually a bit of controversy around this mall, with some people arguing that a religious organisation shouldn't hold a stake in a project promoting consumerism and conspicuous consumption. God rested on the seventh day, but apparently he was back not long after to open Macy's. The timing of the mall's development, in the middle of the financial crisis, only served to underscore this interesting use of funds. On a different note, that sky bridge I showed earlier has also been criticised for funneling traffic away from street-level stores on Main Street. Still, it's difficult to deny that this place looks great, and is kind of a jewel in SLC's downtown. I think one of the things that struck me most about City Creek Centre is all of the little touches. The water features, the footprints, the foliage, not to mention how it blends the indoors and outdoors so you never feel too much like you're just walking down one long corridor. The theming isn't on par with Disneyland or anything, but it's a legitimately nice and interesting place to walk around. That might sound like a low bar, but it's not something that's true of a lot of modern malls. This place threw out the bland beige blueprint used by so many developers today and took a big swing. And I'd say that they scored a home run. I mean, let's be real, how many malls in 2025 have a fountain show with synchronized fire? Dancing fire in this economy? I'm here for it. Salt Lake City is a place that's difficult to explain unless you've spent a little time there. Everywhere you go, there's a quality about it that just feels a little different. Opting to open a massive downtown mall in the shadow of giants, slap bang in the middle of a financial crisis, is a good example of that. But, as is the fact that 2,000 people paid $50 to attend this mall's opening gala just over a decade ago. It's no coincidence that City Creek Centre, designed to revive the fortunes of Salt Lake City's then ailing downtown, is right around the corner from Temple Square and the LDS Church's headquarters. In SLC, everything comes back to the LDS. And in this case, that's true in a very literal sense. Through its contract with Tobin Properties, the church receives a percentage of the mall's revenue. In other words, this place is very unlikely to become a dead mall anytime soon, because some people with deep pockets are very eager for it to be a success. And from what I can tell, it seems like that big gamble is paying off. There isn't much information available about the mall's finances, but it reportedly generated more than $200 million in revenue in its first 9 months of operation alone, which definitely beats passing around the collection plate. If the idea of checking out your Macy's haul next to a fully functional waterfall appeals to you, this might just be the place for you. If you prefer your water features a little more artificial, they got you covered on that front too. Either way, this place comes highly recommended by me if you're ever in Salt Lake City. That about wraps up my tour of City Creek Centre. I hope you enjoyed walking around this place with me, and frankly, I'm amazed that I made it through the whole video without a single Book of Mormon quote. If you want to see more videos like this one, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really is a big help. My Instagram and some ways to support what I do are linked below. Who knows, you might just end up paying for my next food court meal. But until next time, goodbye from City Creek Centre in Salt Lake City, Utah.